Coming off Coimbatore airport and an hour away from there is this beautiful, gorgeous setting called the Isha Yoga Center. I could never have imagined that I'd witness the Adi Yogi statue that sits tall amongst all of us. There is a great feeling of divinity and power. Incredibly excited to be here. Such a pleasure to see you. Why me? Like, how did I get to do this?
Simple realities this should have happened long time ago.
How did you feel when you saw it?
In all this action, don't miss the quality of Rama. It's time we present it in a proper sense.
Why is Rama so different from, any other hero?
Among the men, he is risen. He's a Purushottama. He is the best of the men. I don't know how Yash became Ravana, I know him very well.
Idea was that there had to be a lot of shades of Ravan in terms of why he was who he was.
You ask the next generation if they want to go to heaven, they will ask, is there Wi-Fi?
We're seeing a lot of young people of India today.
You're talking about me or…
You're forever young.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram, Sadhguru. Thank you for giving us the time to speak with you today. It's a pleasure for not just me, but my entire family to have this honor to be able to speak to you and get some guidance on, this very important journey that I've set foot on, which is to bring Ramayana to the world. And it is in that context that I wanted to learn from you, and gain from you some perspective, some insight, which I think is very, very pertinent in the world in which we live. In fact, I wanted to start with asking you about the fact that, with all that's happening in the world, my genuine feeling is that while we've been in the midst of, curating and finding a path to bringing the Ramayana to the world in the best form, I wanted to know what you feel with what you see in the world and its relevance, and where you think the world is going and how the world can learn from what we have.
You're a typical Indian who packs 10 questions into one question. Okay. About relevance of Ram, it's in various spheres. One fundamental thing we need to understand is, this is not a culture which just celebrates material success. It celebrates that a human being as a life is a success. Because if you look at Rama's life, well, at the age of 19, he is coronated. And then, whatever, due to political reasons, he's sent to the forest in exile, along with his young wife, who is not a tribal woman, she's a princess. People don't understand what it means to go live in the forest, because they have seen fanciful images of certain television shows and things where Rama, Sita having a honeymoon in the forest. That's not how life is in the forest. I've lived in the jungles. If I go there for 3 weeks, stay by myself and come back home, even my mother wouldn't recognize me. Head to toe, it's swollen, insect bites and works. That's how it is, especially for a woman, a princess, it would be totally different. So it was not a pleasure trip to the forest. The idea is to make them suffer. And there he goes and about to complete his exile period, and towards the end, I think, his wife gets kidnapped. And then he comes all the way south, Sri Lanka. You should have heard this. I was speaking in a small town in Andhra Pradesh called Nellore. One little girl, one 13, 14-year-old girl, schoolgirl, asking me, Sadhguru, they say Rama walked all the way from Ayodhya to Sri Lanka. How is it possible? Over 3,000 kilometers, how could he walk? Is it true? I said, see, you're a little girl right now. After some time you'll find a man, maybe a husband. And I'm asking you, see, he's a king. His wife got kidnapped. He could have found solutions in the neighborhood. But he pursued. His wife matters so much to him. He walked all the way down, not with an army, just with his brother, builds an army in the south, fights a battle and takes her back. I'm asking you, when you become a young woman, would you want a man who'll walk 3,000 kilometers to get you back if you will get lost? Or do you want a man, okay, she's gone and find a local solution? Of course she knows she would like a man who pursues her. Well, doesn't matter which culture, where you are, you ask any woman, what kind of man would you want? They would want Rama. Risking his own life, he walked all the way down and got her back. That's a man every woman wants, isn't it? So is he relevant? In every way he is relevant, because first of all, in this civilization, we don't write history as just a bunch of facts. If you look at the Western history, this king came, killed so many people, conquered this land, then he died, then he went on, his son came, this nonsense, that nonsense. What is the point? 6,000–7,000 years ago, a man lived or did not live. What relevance is it to me? So here we wrote history in an organic way that it has relevance today. It was written in a subjective manner, not just objective way of writing facts. Well, somehow the Western education has made us believe objectivity is more important than subjectivity. Objectivity is important when we handle material aspects of life, but when we handle human beings, subjectivity is most important. How I experience my life right now is very important, not the question of what kind of chair I'm sitting on, all right? So, this whole way of presenting our historical situations in a way it's relevant subjectively is being ridiculed and nonsensified by the world. It's time we present it in a proper sense. The simple fact is this, that he was willing to put himself, his wife and his children through all the troubles to make sure that he created a just society of the day. Even today, if you utter the word Ramarajya, it means a fair and just society, that's what it means. It's become synonymous with justice and well-being of the people. In the interest of well-being of the people, if you put your own family through lots of troubles and yourself through a lot of pain, do you want that kind of a leader? Or do you want someone who puts his family ahead of his people? Who do you want? Ask anybody, even in a democratic society, who do they want? They want that man who would risk his family's life for the well-being of the people, and that's Rama. Is he relevant? Absolutely relevant.
So that brings me to another, connective piece that, as we bring this or, communicate this to the world, India is obviously shining in many different lights. And it's an area where we believe our culture is one that we're incredibly sensitive about. Like we're very We are people that of the country that are very particular about being sensitized or hurt by the smallest of things, but we don't take enough pride and present that in the same way that other countries or cultures would do with their own, let's say, superheroes or whatever. If you think about America, they present their superheroes,
non-existent superheroes.
non-existent superheroes, as almost like they're gods. And that is where I want to say, get your perspective on, either why is it or how do we change that? Because
See, unfortunately, we have slowly curated a world where gentleness is seen as weakness. We have always been told that we don't go like this into some place, we go like this. We don't go like this. Because we thought that's gross, and it is gross. But today, everybody is like this, all right? No, we are like this because our whole civilization has grown with the fundamental that in terms of our subjectivity, being less is more. Being nothing is everything. The word Shiva means that which is not. That's aspiration. Whether it's Rama, Krishna, everybody worshipping him because that is the aspiration. So, we don't want to be more than you. We will feel it's very obscene. If I sit here with you, I want to sit on a bigger chair and act like I'm bigger than you. We see that as an obscene act. So we always… So this is misunderstood as we don't have pride in who we are. We have a lot of pride in who we are. But our pride is not an obscene pride as being superior to you. Our pride is just we value things in a certain way. When I say we value, why is Rama celebrated? Though his entire life is a series of tragedies. Loses his wife, loses his kingdom, loses his wife, loses his children, almost killed his children, never got to see his dear wife again. Obviously, she was very dear to him if he has to walk 3,000 kilometers to get her, all right, to fight a battle to get her. But he never got to see her again, she died in the jungle. So it's a series of tragedies, not just that, till recently he even had real estate problems in this country. Only now it seems to be settled in somehow. Even his birth is questioned by our present-day politicians. Did he exist or not? So, what is our subjective history or a subjective presentation of our history is being labeled as mythology by our so-called historians. Though there is a humongous amount of evidence to show, and above all, it's there in the living memory of the people. It didn't suddenly pop up because I read one book. It's something that's been transmitted from generation to generation as a living memory of history. But we don't value that. Just because a scholar wrote a book, that becomes true. My grandmother told me this is what I saw and it's not true. Come on, where are we coming from? Unfortunately, we have gotten lost in this nonsense. So, it is definitely time that we presented our history, which is organic and of subjective relevance to the world in that context. And it's very important the world begins to see this, that the lives of people of the past must be learnings for the people of the future. Otherwise, what is the point of the silly facts that you read in a history book?
Sure. And that is something that I think over the last 400–500 years of our Indian history, because of the Mughal invasions and then the British rule, I think has continued to build that victim mindset, which I think is changing in the generation of today, which I think is a great amplification of India and what Indianness means. I think we're seeing a lot of young people of India today take a lot of pride about…
You're talking about me or… No, okay, I'm sorry.
You're forever young. I think one of the biggest responsibilities that anybody who's playing the character of some of these great, people like Ram or Rama or Ravana or Hanuman and Sita, are always going to be subject to a lot of public scrutiny and criticism. Anybody who steps into those, what I would call, nobody can ever be Rama in the world, that is a very special and
Why do you say that?
well, I think because the idealism and the reality of what
See,
Rama
we must
represented is
understand that we do not see Rama as God. Let's understand this properly. We call him Maryada Purushottam. Among the men, he is risen. He is a Purushottama. He is the best of the men. Why do you think best of the men are history? Why can't they exist now? You must understand the wisdom of the civilization, not to just paint him as God, but to say he is a great man, a risen man. Risen in such a way, he looks godlike. This is very important because if you make a god out of him, you'll hang his picture on the wall and that's about it, because he is God and you're you.
yeah.
You can't be him. He's no more an aspirational, figure, but he is a man who rose. Now he's an aspirational figure, and that's very important, that people should aspire to become like him. This is not a civilization where we just look up to God and pray. We go to the temple, have darshan, we want to imbibe. We want to swallow the God and make it a part of myself. This is the civilization you live in. This is not a civilization where you look up and pray to some god that you can never be. All our gods, Shiva, Rama, Krishna, whoever you take, they all walked this geography at some time. They went through trials and tribulations that most human beings won't go through in their life, but they did not surrender their humanity. They remained free from whatever life was hurling at them. Life hurled more drama in their life than life hurls drama at your life. A lot more drama. Any one of those situations that happened to Rama would break most men. If they lose their kingdom, they could get depressed. If they lost their wife, they could get depressed. If they lost their children, they could get depressed. Everything happened. But he remained. Because this is called mukti. Because in this culture, in this civilization, the highest value is not God. The highest value is liberation. Freedom is the highest value. Mukti is the highest value. Moksha is the highest value. This is an exemplification of that fundamental principle. The only thing that we value is liberation. So he is living liberation, no matter what life does. He is balanced and doing what he has to do. Not that there is no pain. There is pain, but pain will not affect his character. He did not become vengeful. He did not become full of hatred. A man has stolen his wife and keeping her there forcefully. He is not vengeful about him. After killing Ravana, he goes for 1 year of repentance. Lakshmana laughs, "What is your problem? This man stole your wife and you're repenting for his death?" So he said, among the various characteristics he had of lust, greed and so many things, there was one characteristic, that he was a great devotee. I had to kill that also. For that I repent. 1 year he went to Himalayas after coming back from the war to repent for Ravana's death, for his enemy's death. That's the man. That is the kind of man we need in the world. That is the kind of leadership we need in the world right now.
So Sadhguru, what you just said obviously is great in terms of the context of why people need that, but humans are not without flaws. And the fact that the journey to transcend your life, when you make mistakes and you have flaws in them, and in order to become a Maryada Purushottam, you have to go through the journey of life and learn from the mistakes that one makes. And that's a pretty…
This has become a very American fetish. You have to learn from the mistakes. If you are the kind to learn from mistakes, don't ever try skydiving.
Sure.
The one mistake you make, that's the last mistake you make. With a lot of things in life, it's like that. It's become The any CEO I talked to today, they say, you must learn from your mistakes. I said, you must learn not to make mistakes, hello? I'm always looking how never to make a mistake. You make mistakes and you're going to learn from it, how many lifetimes are you going to come back, I'm asking? Life is so brief. In this, if you're going to go on making mistakes because only that way you learn, oh, I'm very sorry for such people.
So the people that have to play these, a huge, who have this huge responsibility to fulfill in the shoes of, like a Rama or a Hanumana or any of these, who've created such a huge example. I think the point is that how do we try and ensure that they're seen in a light that is them as actors or not as becoming a Maryada Purushottam. Like they're people who are sort of coming there.
If they have sense, they should become. It's an opportunity that you get to play the role of Rama. You better transform yourself. If you don't do that, when will you do it in your life? So, at the same time, there will be a certain unrealistic expectation. Well, I think, earlier on, there was N.T. Ramarao in the Telugu place, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. People worshipped him as Krishna because he played in some 15 or 16 movies as Krishna. Everybody thought he's Krishna. And they just put up these huge cutouts of him playing the flute like this and standing, and he won the election outright, swept the election. So, at one time it was absolutely so. Now I don't think it is so, but to some extent it's still there. If you act like Rama in a movie, then I expect at least you have some gentleness. That I wouldn't like to see you because somewhere it kind of hurts me. Because I saw your face as Rama, I visualized you as Rama. Now then if you don't do that, but it's unfair to the actor because after all, for him it's a profession, he's just acting. But hope acting like Rama brings some elements of Rama into the actor, which will be wonderful for him. But it's an unfair expectation.
So I think they all understand the responsibility that it takes to be playing that. But I think people are still going back 20 years, 30 years and sort of pulling out, instances of saying, because of that, how can you do that today?
No, that's
the
what
point
I'm
trying to
saying.
make, that
It
the
is not…
transformation may have happened, but there's
It is
still…
not a fair judgment of an actor because he acted in some way.
in some other movie, in some other…
No, he acted in a certain role of, let's say, being Rama. You expect him to become fully Rama. No, tomorrow in another movie he may act as Ravana.
Exactly.
All right, some other production, they may choose him as Ravana. So, that is a professional actor. But at the same time, your movie runs because of people, not because of actors. Let's get this right. Not because of actors or directors the movie runs, it's because of people the movie runs. So their expectations cannot be completely brushed aside. It's a very onerous expectation, but I think the actor and the director and everybody making Ramayana should imbibe a little bit of Rama's quality. It'll be good for them. But as I say, I'll repeat once again, it's an unfair expectation. But that's the way the world is.
As we were going through the journey, because I was trying to bring a lot of international talent, very, very highly proficient, department heads in action and music, and they have all had this curiosity to understand the uniqueness of why is Rama so different from, any other hero or any other person. And in one of the meetings, I was talking to this action director who came to India, interestingly, who loved the Ramayana and moved his whole family to Mumbai. His kids went to school in Mumbai and he stayed there for years just for the love of Ramayana. And in one conversation, I happened to sort of speak with him and walk him through my explanation of how does Rama, who's a human, take on some of the biggest battles and how he operates with fear, or how does he translate fear. And one of the examples I gave him, I said, everybody's got fear, especially if we portray Rama as a human. it's natural to have fear. But here is someone who's taking on some of the biggest combat, some of the biggest conflict, and through that is maintains a very calm sense of who he is and recognizes his own fear. So my description to him was that, imagine if a lion walked into a conversation, the first reaction we would have is of fear. We would be scared.
Now, if a lion walks in here, I won't be scared because I know it's a creature of technology, because this is a tiger country.
Let's say a tiger came in, I would be scared for a lion or a tiger. But what I'm saying is that, but if Rama was sitting here, what he would do is he would recognize his own vulnerability, and he knows his vulnerability. But I think what I believe his unique superpower is that he'd be able to look through the tiger or the lion's eyes and recognize the vulnerability of that living being as well, and what fear it has. And therefore, when he goes into combat, he's not somebody who has to be the most muscular, the most powerful. He is just somebody who just knows intuitively in his own energy that what is his weakness and what the weakness of his opponent is. And that sort of, I think for the person that I spoke to, and I obviously made that up, and I don't know whether I made sense or not, but that's how I felt, honestly, that that's why he would be who he is, that why in spite of there being reason for fear, he would transcend that because he'd be able to see the fear of the other living organism, even if it is bigger or stronger than him.
Well, for that you don't have to be Rama. Any good hunter or warrior, that's exactly what he would do. That's what I would do in any given situation in my life. That
Sadhguru, but there's only one of you.
they can breed many, where many are in training. Some are freaking, some are growing,
Sure.
you know.
As of today, as the world knows it, as we all know, there's only one of you. So
So what I'm saying is, that's okay. That is the quality of a warrior. That is the quality of a hunter. That if you do not know the vulnerability of the other, you cannot dominate that situation. But that is not what Rama is. That quality is there because he's a warrior. Definitely it's there, but that's not the significance of his life. The significance of his life is, if he needs to kill something or someone, he will do it without anger, without hatred, without any kind of resentment, but because it's needed to establish what he saw as dharma. Dharma means not a philosophy or a religion, as unfortunately it's going around today. The word dharma literally means the law. When we say a law, there are many kinds of laws. Whole lot of laws are transactional in nature. Right now, you're in India, you're supposed to drive on the left side of the street. But if you go and see the street, you won't understand which side to drive because there are a whole lot of people who don't understand which side to drive. So this is a transactional thing. Why should I drive on the left side? Is it a great thing to drive on the left side? No. It's an agreement between you and me that I will drive on the left side, if you're coming on the opposite side, you drive on your left side so that me and you don't go boom into each other. It's an agreement between two drivers. But some people don't keep the agreement, so a lot of people keep dying, all right? So these are transactional laws. Like this, we have Raja Dharma, we have Praja Dharma, we have various kinds of dharmas, different kinds of laws for different transactions in life. For a husband, one kind of dharma, for a wife, another kind of dharma, for children, one kind of dharma, for a teacher, one kind of dharma, student, another kind of dharma, so that that function happens with least amount of friction. Because human transactions, every simple thing can become a friction. How to perform this transaction without friction? For this there is a law. These laws can be changing according to times. But there is one called Sanatana Dharma, which again is going through a huge misinterpretation today. Sanatana Dharma means it is an eternal law. That means it is not a transactional law. Transactional laws keep changing. Say there are new tariffs, what can we do? These are transactional laws, it keeps changing. But there is an existential law which doesn't change. If you are not in tune with that, no matter what's happening in your transactions, you still suffer your life. Because existentially you're not in tune. Existentially there's friction within you. So Sanatana Dharma is an existential law which is eternal in nature. The word Sanatan means eternal. So it's not a religion, it is not a philosophy or an ideology. It is by keen observation of life we've observed that a few things don't change. If you're not in tune with those laws, say right now there's a law of gravity. If you're not in tune with it, you will fall down. Nobody has to throw you down. Hello? If you just wrongly handle gravity when you stand up, you will fall down. So, just like this, for every aspect of life, there is a dharma, they recognize that. But they recognize these are transactional laws. But there are certain things which are existential. So that we recognize as Sanatana Dharma. So, in a way, Rama is trying to establish various levels of laws for that society, or in other words, he's trying to manifest civilization in an orderly manner for the times that he was in. This is 7,000 years ago when the rest of the world were still hunters and gatherers. Here we're talking about very sophisticated thinking about how to civilize a whole subcontinent. That's what he's looking at. He continuously talking about dharma because of that. And he himself understands unless he's an embodiment of that dharma, he cannot manifest that. So he lives that way, that he's an embodiment of dharma. He knows it's unfair to send his wife away when she's pregnant. He knows absolutely. But he sends her away because the political situation is such that the people won't trust him if he keeps her here. Against his own will, against his own emotions, because a man who walks 3,000 kilometers down south, fights a battle, takes back his wife, she matters to him, she's not just another woman.
Sure. Can we also shed some light in your mind based on someone like Ravana? Because, in many ways, when I started on the journey of Ramayana, my first question to the writers, to the people was, why did Rama have to come? And why did he have to come in this form? And then you sort of learn a lot about Ravana and his power and his… what he had done in the world and why, ultimately Rama or Vishnu's avatar as Rama had to come in the particular form to take on Ravana, who was in his strongest place. And that also had been created through boon that Ravana had got from Brahma and from and the weapon that he had manifested with Shiva. So he was obviously very well endowed on his own. And that must have some significance for Ravana to be who he is, to have gotten that blessing in the first place until things went off. But I think that sort of is another piece that when we were going through the establishment of this whole universe, it felt like a very important part. And even in terms of casting, in fact, I was on the lookout for who would be the ideal Ravana.
I don't know how Yash became Ravana, I know him very well.
No, because we were almost looking like at a superstar level person to come in and play that role. Because
always a villain means he has a blunt nose, like this.
That's a very…
Yash is a handsome man.
Very, very handsome and very talented star in the country and incredibly loved. So the whole idea was, how do we try and… because unless we have the…
Somehow have you noticed villains always have blunt nose, not sharp nose.
That's a new learning for me. I shall go and look at that. So the idea was that there had to be a lot of shades of Ravan in terms of, why he was who he was. And that's why when you talk about him being a devotional…
Ravana, according to the description, see, let's understand this. We know all these characters only from the story. None of us have seen them, it's only from the story. From the story, he is a great scholar, a very accomplished king in various ways. He built one of the most beautiful cities of the time. Lanka was that kind of city. And a very just administrator, very capable man and a great devotee, many things. But he's called Ravana because the one who cried loudly or roared loudly, because his hands got… I just came back from Kailash. I've been telling them this Ravana stories, didn't speak about Rama, only Ravana, because he's the one who traveled there. Rama stayed in the Indian part of Himalayas. So he's obviously a great traveler, a strong man, many things. And but to tell you what kind of problem he has within himself, he goes and in many ways he worships Shiva and pleases him in many ways. Then Shiva asks, what do you want? Ask whatever you want. You know what he asks? I want your wife. This is the kind of man he is. He's got everything. He's got a great kingdom, he's built a great city, he's a scholar, he's a devotee, but he's got this problem. When Shiva asks, what do you want? If you are a normal man, you would ask for whatever you need in your life. He says, I want your wife. Because Shiva has already promised, he can't go back. He said, okay, take her. Then he starts walking. Where is she? She is near Manasarovar. So he starts walking in that direction. Then Parvati comes to know that he's coming to take her forcefully, because Shiva said, okay. Because he can't go back on his word, he said, ask whatever you want, just misuse of that. So when I say, please, what do you want? Ask whatever you want. You say, I want your head. What to do? I'm saying this kind. But this is civilization, once you give your word, you can't go back. So he says, I want your wife. He says, okay, take her. Then as he's walking towards Manasarovar, the Ganas, Shivas, the people, they mislead him towards Rakshastal, what is today known as Rakshastal. So Parvati sees that he's coming and if he doesn't find her there, he will come back here. So she picks up a frog and turns that into a very beautiful woman. So frog is called Manduka and she becomes Mandodari. And he takes her thinking she is Parvati. Mandodari is a very beautiful and a very wise woman. Frogs are wise,
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that because you come from the West where if you kiss a frog, it'll become a prince. Here it became a princess. This is an older story than the prince story,
Yeah,
all
well,
right?
that's good.
So he went there, thought this is the Parvati and took her home and married her. So Mandodari became his wife, very beautiful and very wise, but he could not make use of her wisdom. Even when he brought Sita, she was the one who told him, just go and hand her over. Any woman in the kingdom is available for you. Why are you doing this? This will be your nemesis. In many ways she tried to tell him because she foresaw what's coming. But he couldn't, because this is the problem of various good qualities. You have strength, you have wisdom, you have intelligence, you have many, various faculties which are extraordinary. Now you think you are better than anybody in the universe. Now this is a bad thing. This is all Ravana's problem is. He thinks he is the Superman of the day. But in the end, it proves that he is not the Superman. Superman is a gentle, quiet man, he doesn't have this kind of power, but he has penetration because he is quite balanced. Above all balance, this is continuously I'm telling everybody, you may have intelligence, you may have talent, you may have various qualities, but if there is no balance, your intelligence will work against you. This is a Ravana's life. his own intelligence, his own talent, his own capabilities worked against him because no balance. Rama is balance absolute. He may not be as strong as Ravana. That's how Ramayana depicts him, that he's not as strong as Ravana. In many ways, he's not as skilled as Ravana, but he is balanced.
So when we conceived this whole aspiration of bringing Ramayana to the world, one of the important ingredients that I wanted to make sure that we had was truly a global participation. A lot of key talent from different faculties in the filmmaking process who've got tremendous experience and skill set to sort of collaborate with our own very talented people in India itself to sort of bring it to the world so that it feels like it's something from India but for the world, because it's something that's a very strong and a vibrant part of our culture, but it's something that we believe every human being on the planet needs to hear about it and consume it, and therefore we try to make it a global event in a way that there's a feeling of involvement and engagement by the people in all the different parts of the world. In your mind, because you also got this global, experience, and you've obviously spoken to people all over the world, what would be your guidance to us in as we take Ramayana to the world? What should we be cognizant of, or how should we make sure that we land it correctly for those cultures and those people, for everybody basically?
See, for cinematic success, there may be a certain way of thinking, but a time is coming in the world where as lot of gross things become popular, a whole lot of people want to see something subtle and wonderful to blossom also. That aspiration, that longing is spreading significantly in the world. Just to give you a perspective, see, in 2024, our video views are 5.23 billion B. And this is only on our platforms. There are at least over 1,000 other platforms which are propagating our material because we left it free for everybody to use it. We don't know what's their reach. Nobody knows the WhatsApp reach. So, this is only possible because there's an aspiration in people for something more gentle, something more true, not something that's you versus me, something that's inclusive. There is a huge aspiration. Right now, if you see here or in Bangalore where our centers are, every day thousands of people. The number of people, the footprint that we have here, nowhere in Tamil Nadu or in Bangalore the footprint that we have, anywhere in Karnataka, neither a cinema theatre, nor a shopping mall, nor a temple, anybody has that kind of daily footfall. This is because there is an aspiration in people which is not fulfilled. So, that aspiration is not to be neglected. He must show wisdom, he must show balance, he must show gentleness. At the same time, he is capable of doing what is needed on the battlefield. That should come out. He shouldn't become just boom, 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 because that aspiration has remained unfulfilled in the geopolitics of the world, that aspiration has remained unfulfilled in the general politics of most nations. So people are hungry for that. And that is when I would feel Rama's message, Rama's life as a message would have the right kind of impact rather than making him one more superhero.
No, that's incredibly valuable what you just said, because I'm actually relieved also because that's the path we are on. So I feel good about that we're in sync in following what you've just expressed, because that is different. The fact that Rama is gentle and he is fair and he has a life which is an example to lead and learn from, I think is very profound, and that I genuinely believe is why it is different to nobody else in the world. Like why does he, after all these thousands of years, still keeps his uniqueness in terms of, and why that belief system continues to be rising.
So, you must understand, this this civilization's approach to life will be relevant today, will be relevant 1,000 years later, because a human being wants to be free. Free from what? Well, if I tie you up and tie you to the tree, you want to be free from that. But if you're released from that, if you understand you're tied up within yourself, you want to be free from that. Freedom is such an intrinsic thing, it is not a French idea. Though they claim they only thought of freedom first. We've been talking about mukti and moksha forever, all right? So freedom from what? It's like this. You know, our programs, our in-engineering programs are mandatory in southern Indian prisons. At one time, I also did these programs in United States, in Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and these places. Whenever I entered prison, initial programs were done by me. When I entered the prison, if you really look at the organization of the prison, in Coimbatore Central Prison, which was the first program I did, we just bought it was not this much, it was just 14-acre piece of land. While the mountains were beautiful, but there was only one tree in the entire land. I went to the Coimbatore Central Prison, about 120 acres of land, and there are few dozen trees, each one of them, all of them over 100 years old, rain trees, each one of them covering half an acre to 3/4 of an acre. I thought, wow, we could exchange this land, the ashram land with the prison land. It's in the heart of the city, and the trees. My problem was the trees. To get trees like this, how long will it take? 100 years. I won't be around to see those trees that big in the ashram. I know even now I won't be around. Somehow there are trees now, not very big. Do you see all of them? All of them are not more than 25 years old. So I thought, this is a great place, the prison, and it's very well organized, believe me. Prison is well organized, much better organized than any part of the society. Somebody will open the door for you, somebody will close it for you, somebody will switch off the light for you, food comes bang on time. It'll never happen in any home, that precision. The food comes exactly on time. I thought this is a really good organization. And this is what we would like. But if you enter the prison, I've never come out of a prison visit without tears in my eyes, because there is pain in the air. Just pain in the air. People won't understand, you have to go there and see. Everything looks normal, but there's just pain in the air, simply because within oneself, you know you're not free. How much pain means you cannot articulate this. It just tears my heart when I go there. Everything seems to be normal. In the prison, people are much fitter and healthier than the common society outside. Everybody is very fit, well-nourished. But pain, because freedom is such an intrinsic necessity within a human being. Freedom does not just mean roaming around in the field. Within yourself to be free, we recognize this. The most important quality for a human being is liberation. This is why moksha, mukti, so important. This is the most important thing. In many ways, Rama is just an embodiment of this. He is an embodiment of living mukti. We call Jivan Mukti. When you're alive, you're free. You're free from your anger, you're free from your angst, you're free from your fear, you're free from resentment, you're free from all the things which make a human being nasty. Ravana has many more qualities. In terms of accomplishments, Ravana has many more accomplishments than Rama, because Rama was a young boy, 19-year-old boy got coronated, and 14 years he spent in the forest. He's lost out on life in many ways, but he's free within himself of all these things that Ravana suffers from. That is the story, that is the man. And that is the ideal, that is the aspiration of this civilization. That should become the aspiration of the world, and it will, because in a couple of generations, I would say 50 to 70 years' time, over 70% of the people on the planet will not identify with any religion. Already it is so. In United States, where you are, over 29 to 30% of the people are writing in their application forms, no religion. In UK, over 36% are writing no religion. In Western Europe, 43% is writing no religion. Many others don't dare to say it because in their societies they will be finished if they say that. But in another 50 years' time or 70 years' time, over 70% of the world's population will be saying no religion. Then the only thing that will be relevant is that civilization which treats freedom or liberation as the highest goal. As we go, as technologies evolve, our survival becomes easier and easier. The aspiration will be freedom.
We've obviously, one of the days I spent some time with my father and I was joking with him, he's about 81. And I just happened to read a little bit of the Gita and I came back home and I was like, I said, we've all been reading the wrong stuff growing up. Because we all read, as a, he was born just before a partition happened, migrated to Mumbai. And then, we've all grown up what we've been taught in schools, which is more like what the British left us as part of that. And then today, when we are making the Ramayana and we're talking about so many other aspects.
No, British did not leave us.
Yeah. They
took us.
They made sure that they left their belief behind it.
They took us.
And that is where I found that, it's always troubled me, this question that why have we accepted that over what we believe is so fundamental?
Now you're trying to get me into political quagmire.
Okay, no, that's not… Why are we not teaching Ramayana in our schools versus what we currently…
It's being taught in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, I was just going to say that Saudi Arabia is…
But it is… we are a secular country, so we cannot teach Ramayana. It's history, it's not religion. Ramayana is not religion, Ramayana is history.
That is what I'm saying, but they're learning British history and what they did to us. We learn Mughal history, but we're not learning our own… the origination of where we all come from. I'm asking the teacher, why are we not… why are our children not learning the real truth?
Well, our children are learning something about it, but we must understand that our whole idea of progress, our whole idea of development, our whole idea of what is modern is so twisted. How is going to heaven a modern idea? But that's considered modern, all right? Most modern idea is to live here in absolute freedom. Hello? But that is the most ancient idea of this civilization. But we've made that mistake and corrections are happening. Hope movies like this also change the popular perception, because it's very important. Because how many people will read Ramayana? How many people will read history beyond the silly little history book that they read when they were in school? How many people, not even 1 or 2% of the world's population reads history beyond high school. So, what is printed in the school textbook is the only history that 99% of the population knows. So, because of that it's happened, but changing the school textbook is a very political issue, you can't change it just like that. But I think in the last 5–10 years, lot more has happened than what's not happened in the last 50, 60 years' time.
And this is a personal question, but I've sort of had a life of, reasonable success. Started out in a little garage in Mumbai with an Apple computer, and then we've gone on to become the world's biggest visual effects and animation company in a career spanning 30 years. Grew up with a lot of Western influence and Indian belief systems. So I think I had an interesting childhood growing up. So as part of that whole journey, what I learned was that in 30 years of my career, everything that I've ever done, I've had an interesting learning that I feel like I'm because of everything I did, it's almost like I've felt like all the things I learned, every step I took, the experiences I had in the West, and I encountered racism is a mild word, that happened in the UK, happened in the US, and we've obviously emerged beyond that. So I feel good about that, because in hindsight, when it was happening, it wasn't great. And then on the personal side, I have my kids, one who are called Raghav and Raghuveer, which is completely something that I'd never even thought of bringing Ramayana to life. So I was just trying to understand that, on one hand, I feel 30 years of my career is sort of prepped me to make a film on the Ramayana, which I don't believe if I was a 20-year-old, I would do justice to it because of the sanctity and the complexity it has. On the other hand, I have something in my own family, in my own personal life, which is directly speaks to my own kids being named Ram and as Raghav and Raghuveer as an example. So I'm asking Sadhguru, how would you explain that to me? Like, how does that happen? Like, why me? Like, how did I get to do this? I don't have the answer to that. I'm trying to find that answer. That how did that happen?
See, don't try to look for mystical reasons. For simple realities, this should have happened long time ago. Because we've been so brainwashed or hypnotized that in these 80 years or nearly 80 years, we have not produced a movie of some substance on Rama, Krishna, Shiva. We have not done this.
Yeah.
Those who attempted it were very rudimentary efforts that were done, but still those things had such a massive impact. When Mahabharata was going on the television, the streets of India would be empty, total, complete, no people on the street. It had such a grip, that is a level of aspiration that is there, but unfortunately we've left them unfulfilled. And don't try to find some grand reasons, because grand reasons will bomb. It is sensible that somebody thinks that it is needed and you start doing it. It's great, that's important. There is no… This is the whole thing about this civilization, there's no God-given reason. Your life is your karma. There is dharma and there is karma. Dharma means that which liberates you. Karma means that which entangles you. Now the whole endeavor is how to perform karma in such a way that it is liberating. This is Rama's life. Make that yours. Don't entangle yourself. Some divine calling came, no. Some sense arose within you, I'm glad. Let that sense prevail. And let your karma become a liberating force, not an entangling force. Because if you say some other force, it'll become entangling. This is your karma, this is what Rama is trying to, manifest. That, see, it is through activity of the mind, emotion, energy and physical body that people get entangled with life. Using that activity, which is karma, to liberate ourselves is what Rama's life is about. Performing karma in such a way, it's liberating. Ravana also is performing karma and is more accomplished, but he gets all entangled. Rama performs the same karma of battle, of pursuit, of administration and many other things, politics and whatever, but his karma liberates him. May your karma liberate you, don't get entangled in all kinds of fancy ideas.
Thank you. I'll remember that. So in terms of, there's a lot of Indians who've also accomplished a lot in the West, in really becoming part of that culture, because as Indians, one of the things we all know, we are very adaptable and we are able to take and accept a lot of change very proactively. And I feel like when we bring Ramayana to the world, when we bring it to, before we take it to, let's say, the rest of the world, at least the Indian origin people in all the different parts of the world, which is a lot of them, who've somewhat been further away from India for them, maybe 30, 40, 50 years, who've now got kids there, who sort of grow up as either Americans or British or whatever. How do we try and communicate the essence of why Ramayana will be relevant to them and to their children, and how do we get them to take a little bit of pride in because the more I've interacted, I've always found them to be not dismissive, that would be a strong word, but a bit aloof. Like they've sort of kind of distanced themselves and we are not Indian anymore. Like if it's a fun conversation in the UK that there's an India and England match going on, cricket match, and some of my friends and their children are like, who would you support? Me and my kid would say India.
America doesn't have a cricket…
I'm saying UK.
No, I'm saying America doesn't have a cricket team, fortunately. And they may have.
They may have one soon. So, the thing is that you sort of have that dichotomy and, because it feels so alien, like Raman. And one of my attempts has been to try and make it feel more universal rather than, because it gets shrouded in that.
See, let's understand this. There's no dichotomy in this. There was a time, 250, 300 years ago, every one of them in Europe and UK, there was no America at that time, the way it is today, every one of them wanted to come to India. Why? Whether a Vasco da Gama or a Columbus or 100 other expeditions which drowned in the oceans, everyone wanted to come to India. Why do you think? Because it was a success story. You must understand whatever your culture, whatever your tradition, whatever great things you have, your literature or music or whatever, nothing will fly unless you're a success story. We were the biggest success story in the world. We were the largest economy in the world. Over 30% of the world's exports went from India. So when that was a thing, everybody wanted to come here. But for whatever reasons, I don't like to blame anybody. For whatever reasons, for our own inadequacies, something, we allowed other people to destroy us. I don't say they destroyed us, I say we allowed them to destroy us. Now it is time that we build back that success story, which we are making a serious effort now. There are many impediments, many challenges, but we will. We will rise because one problem with India is, it's full of genius, but not enough organization. There's too much individual genius, everybody is a genius, but you can't organize them. So right now our effort is to organize them so that this genius finds expression in a successful manner. Wherever Indians go, they're super successful. What is it that they happen to them? They fit into an organization there and suddenly they are super successful. So, to make our narratives valuable, whatever silly things that America says, everybody goes for it because success. Right now, at least it seems to be the richest nation on the planet, so everybody goes for it. This is how it was with India 250 years ago. But we've lost that mantle, we have to regain that. Without regaining that, you tell your story as much as you want, nobody's going to buy it, including your children. See, even you're wearing blue denims. Nothing wrong, I grew up in blue denims. But I'm saying, we all wore that because somewhere it represented success, isn't it? So success is needed. Without success, you can't push your narratives. Without success, your stories will not sell. Without success, your culture will not fly. So this success is very important, which is beginning to take shape, and because people see it is beginning to take shape, there are impediments being thrown in our way from various quarters, but we have to rise beyond that. We should not sit here and cry, we should do what we have to do. So, about children not taking it up is just this, there is no dichotomy in this. Success is all that anybody values. See, the purpose of any given action is success, isn't it? Whether you do some great thing or you do some simple thing, you want that action to be successful or not? You want it to be successful because the purpose of action is success. So if there is no success, you talk great philosophy, nobody is going to buy it, not even your children, I'm saying. When I say your children, the next
Yeah,
generation.
anybody. Yeah.
Nobody will buy it when there is no success story. You must create a success story. Then everybody wants Ramayana. Then everybody wants Mahabharatam. It'll become like that. We should get there in this generation. It's our responsibility this is a generational responsibility, that we must get this civilization there before forces in the world will start destroying each other, because this is the only civilization which has a universal message. Every other message on the planet is you versus me. Either you exist or I exist. But in a nuclear world, if we think you exist or I exist, both won't exist.
Both will go. Yeah.
Yes. But this is the only civilization which is talking about the well-being of all life. Vasudevaka Kutumbakam, we've been talking for a long time. Everything is inclusive. This is what the world needs. This the younger generation will quickly recognize. If you present it the right way, as a movie maker, you have a tremendous opportunity that you present this the right way, that this is inclusive in nature. The man is fighting a battle because there is a certain injustice, but he is not battle-hungry. He doesn't enjoy killing, he repents killing his own enemy. It's very, very important. Right now, everywhere the projection is, we killed you and we celebrate. No, he did not celebrate, he repents. This is the world we need. This is the leadership we need. This is the consciousness that should take the future, because we are empowered like never before. We are not fighting with arrows or spears or swords anymore. Our fight will finish humanity. So, the civilizational impact of what it has to offer, the core of the civilization, what it has to offer to the world, this has to get across. Ramayana in many ways is a representation of that, and that's valuable for future generations. Future generations, if this is presented properly, will value it immensely, because right now, that consciousness of you versus me, everybody hates it, but still people in power are doing it, but the common people, especially the new generation, doesn't like it. They will like Rama, but you must present him right.
Just on last few words, based on what we showed you, just the little title, introduction unit and the vision, do you have any specific words on that? Like, how did you feel when you saw it?
Well, lot of technology, I think that's the way things are done today. But as I would again, I know you already shot most of it, but because a lot of it is in the edit, it's important to grab people's attention with boom, 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 all right? It's needed, I'm not against it. Well, certain movies in the last 5 years, these Bahubalis and whatever have done so well, because somewhere it captured people's imagination of being a little super. Just being a man is not enough, you need to be little Superman. I'm okay with that. But in all this action, don't miss the quality of Rama. It must always consistently come out, because that is the value of the future. Freedom, balance, inclusiveness are the values of the future. Everybody will love it for that. Though it may not be out in the public, bang, 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 maybe out in the public, but I'm telling you, in a big way, 60 to 70% of the world's population, except those who are fanatical about whatever they are, 60 to 70% of the world's population, Hindu or otherwise, Indian or otherwise, they have this in their heart. They appreciate inclusiveness, they appreciate balance, and they appreciate one who stands as a peaceful figure, but willing to fight a battle if it's necessary. So when are you planning the next Shiva movie?
So, hopefully we'll come back to you and take your guidance on the correct representation of what Shiva means, and how his energy and his depiction should be out there.
Here we are thinking of setting up an IMAX theater where 20 minutes of Shiva, 20 minutes of Rama, 20 minutes of Krishna, 20 minutes of Buddha, 20 minutes of Jesus if necessary, bringing out the essence of who they are in a very powerful way. You're the guy to make it,
We will make it happen, sir. That is something that we do incredibly well, and I'm very excited about doing that kind of stuff, because I genuinely believe we'll not just do it for here, but it is something that will then travel to the world.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.